Nick, it's beginning to feel a lot like Christmas. Are you in the holiday spirit?
Yeah, man. I mean, we got, kid-made ornaments and everything going on right now.
Really? Kid-made ornaments. Did you sit down and make some yourself?
We're at the gingerbread house, age. Yeah, man, it's awesome.
Dude,
I'm in.
It's so cool. I love it. At Costco, as a matter of fact, got to bring it up in the first 5 minutes of the show. They have a charcuterie kit where you can do gingerbread house competitions with your kids. You can buy the full kit at Costco. You can buy a charcuterie kit for the adults. I'm just saying in case you're interested in that.
I am not interested in walking in Costco. No. I mean, for necessities, you got to do what you got to do.
Never
to go there and goof off, I'm out.
Wow. Well,
we need to have a little discussion here.
Do we? Okay,
Since
yes.
you brought up Costco.
I did.
Want everybody who's defending their Costco purchases of gas to understand that top tier also has rankings of what actually is the top of the top tier.
Oh, so they've been leaving out a little bit of information.
Well, it's sort of like this. You work at a company, you have executives. Some executives make more money than other executives.
Very true.
But they're all executives. So there's a lot of people that are in top tier gas, but there's top tier of the top tier, and there's the bottom of the bottom tier, right? Like the bottom of the top tier.
Right,
So you got this hierarchy that, let's be clear, let's all say it out loud. There's a top of the top tier and a bottom of the top tier. Costco ranks at the bottom of the top tier. It's top tier, but it's not the top of the top tier.
So it's the best of the worst, but not the best of the best.
Exactly.
Okay, all right. So when I was on a short bus, I was the dumbest of the short bus, not the smartest of the short. Okay.
But somebody is smartest on
the short. Okay.
So
okay.
We all need to understand there's levels in life.
Yes.
And it's okay you guys want to defend your Costco purchases.
Okay.
I understand it. They've brainwashed you. Okay? They brainwashed you into buying 50 pounds of mayonnaise and thinking it's a deal when you throw out 7 of the 10 pounds you bought.
Listen,
I got it.
I will take the best of the worst and my 5% back and get a 10-pound bull tube. You ever bought a bull tube? You ever gone up to the meat counter and been like, just go like this? A little weird, but you're like, they'll know what you mean. And they'll bring over a bull.
No. Hold on. I will never do that.
You will do that tomorrow.
No.
When you realize you can get $95.5 for the best price in the entire city, and all you got to do is go up to the meat counter and just tell the meat guy, Jose, and he'll know exactly what you're talking about. Bull tube.
Which makes it even worse.
Bull tube.
Which makes it even... I'm going to say this out loud. I support American ranchers. Actually buy my beef from somebody out of Texas.
There you go.
I'm not going to pay the big corporation. I'm going to go right to the hardworking men and women. You guys want to be part of the economic disaster of Costco? You do your thing.
Whoa, way to turn it around on me there.
Okay? I am for the American rancher. You are for the big corporation.
Wow, way to turn that around on me. You're not wrong.
Actually, hey, I got to sell something here.
I do both. By the way, duck eggs with a little bit of grass-fed, beef from the farmer's market. There's no better meal in the world.
Yeah, but you're talking about a beef tube, dude. Bull tube? I know you've done that more than 100 times.
Oh yeah. That's like every other week. You got to get a
Yeah. So we're not the same, Rob.
But
we're
I get a box to the house.
I support the people putting in the work.
I have a Wagyu box sent to my house. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it.
Yeah, no, we're not doing this.
Well,
you lose, I win. Top tier of top tier is where I go because I care about my cars, and it is what it is. We're not all built the same.
Final point. Let us know in the comments. Have you purchased a bull tube, and have you made this gesture at the meat counter? I want to know. I just want to know. If I'm the only one, I'm going to stop doing it. But if more people say, I've done the same thing.
Don't do that again. Okay. Don't do that gesture again. I can tell you that.
Fair enough. Okay, look, man. So we got 2 episodes left to the year, right? This is the second to last. And what I want to do is kind of spend a little bit of time on this episode, and I'm going to work through this thesis of what Nick and I have been seeing for the last year, which is the first year of the show. This is, I believe, 58, 60 episodes deep or so of the first run since we started around December of last year. And then if you guys have something to chime in on that you want to add to this conversation of this thesis, I don't know what it's called yet, but it's something about car culture and the media gap of sorts that we're seeing. Comment, or rather, not comment, email us, clutchculturepodcast@gmail.com, and we'll include it in next week's final show of the year. But I got a couple of bullet points here that I wanted to run by Nick, and we're seeing it constantly in the comments. We're seeing it constantly in other people's shows where sometimes they're being subtle about the things that they say, about what they're doing maybe on their channels or in their businesses, or what they're doing in the market with their own cars, buying and selling, collecting, all this stuff. So I want to start with this. I think that there's like aspirational car culture kind of broke financially over the last 10 years. And we can go back to the pandemic days, but even before that, things were just different online. And there used to be like a grind, buy a cool car, right? And then there was a build it over time slowly, which is kind of like what you've been doing with your LX here. And most importantly, the affordability of the car just completely skyrocketed, and the wages of most people that are enthusiasts didn't keep up with that gap.
Yeah, I'd say most people probably are going to leave in the comments or send an email in. There's a lot of defeated people in car culture right now that we see all across the internet, where they go, I can't buy anything, I can't do this, I can't do that. We just had a wagon conversation, and we got a whole host of DMs and comments about, I can't buy a wagon. I think some of this is self-inflicted by the enthusiast. Guys, the highest grade of car is now very expensive. Mm-hmm. Right? So if you want to buy a wagon right off the lot, they're really expensive. I mean, RS6 or M5 Touring or E63 or whatever. All of that stuff is expensive, right? We can all say that stuff's expensive. But if you say I have 50, 60, 70,000 to spend, not 140,000 to spend, we have to stop tricking ourselves that you can't go find a good example. Mm-hmm. Because you can. You have to accept mileage. So for whatever reason, one of the weirdest things that's happened in car culture for me in the last year became apparent, but maybe I was just insulated from it before that, is now, for whatever reason, guys are acting like, because they're creators that they follow or whatever, buying these low mileage examples, that's what they have to buy. And if they can't buy that, then it's not worth doing anything. And this whole sit it out culture that's built around car culture now, I think it's damaging car culture in a massive way. That would be probably the top of my list of the misunderstandings of, guys, I bought an LX that's 22 years old with 130,000 miles on it. Now, I could have waited and found one with 50,000 miles on it, doubled or quadrupled my price, but I didn't need to do that. I can find something that I'm willing to spend on and still get pretty reasonable mileage, something I'm accepting of. Yes, I'm going to have to fix a few things. So I think one of the things we've discussed periodically in the last year is this idea that guys are waiting for prices to fall on the rarest low mileage things. And if they can't buy those, then they don't want to buy anything, and then they just want to complain. And I think that's a huge negative for car culture.
I completely agree. And then so to add to that, aspirational car culture bullet point, we have, car inflated prices, which I mentioned already, which I don't think anybody saw, like just how crazy things were going to get during the flu years, obviously. But the
Agreed.
recovery of that, or the reversal of that, pretty much kind of non-existent for the most part. People are still feeling the same squeeze that they did trying to buy a car then, trying to buy a car now, which was almost 5 years ago.
Yeah. I mean, we talk a lot about new cars because I think everyone's interested in the topic. Mm-hmm. You and I don't really live in new car culture.
No.
That's not our daily, exchanges. That's not the things that we send texts about. I would assume most of you are the same, but it's like around all of this conversation, we have this weird thing where something in the last 5 years that has happened is we've become fixated on really expensive new cars. Mm-hmm. And we think that is car culture. When car culture's always been buying something from the past, 5 years old, 10 years old, 30 years old, and driving it and improving it and all those types of things. And I think one of the things that I would get across to anybody is stop with the revisionist history of how things used to be, because people bought beaters in the year 2000. I mean, they bought beaters and they fixed them up. They didn't go to the Lamborghini lot and buy a new Lamborghini if they didn't have Lamborghini money. So because the internet wasn't around then, you didn't look at all of these channels and say, these guys have all of these badass cars. Again, largely most of them rented, leased, written off as a business expense. All of that's being, I don't want to say lied about, but hidden from you, the viewer, that they don't really own these cars. Some of those people do. Very large percentage of them don't, which is fine, by the way. It's a business. But I think we've confused the car enthusiast of all ages that the internet car culture is something different than business for the majority of these channels.
I was looking at do you know where and I'm sure you do, but what the top end of car financing is reaching these days as far as what lenders are allowing?
Oh, I got to imagine it's tightening, but also if you have the credit, what's the old Cedric the Entertainer? If you got credit, you can get it.
Dude, some of these lenders, they're kind of usually pushing you towards 84, but some are topping up at 104 to 144 months.
That's unbelievable.
Bro, I had no idea. I don't think I'd heard over 100 month.
To be fair with everybody, I never heard. I thought 84 was sort of the cap out that we had seen. Now, understand, guys, leasing terms and different things like that in the highest end part of the market is a much different thing than what's happening at your local Toyota or Chevy or Ford dealership. Mm-hmm. So when you start talking about some of the leases that are done on Lamborghini or Ferrari or whatever, it's always been different than the average car buyer.
Yeah.
It's always been different. It's never been the same, one-to-one type of thing.
So I think we have, and this leads me to my next point, and we can stop at point 2 if it's if it's enough. But there's like 2 classes I think that we're kind of seeing, and that is and this goes back to a conversation over the phone about just like people in the comment section again, and the know-it-alls and all the things that we've kind of talked about throughout the year. But like you have the spectator enthusiasm, which is those that are watching, not owning, which are commenting, not buying, and which are consuming content like sports and fashion is the bullet point I have. And then you got the group. So this group loves car content, hates car prices, has strong opinions, and has little intent to purchase, which we see that all the time. And then you have the high income or the high leverage donors, which you actually just described perfectly. Business owners, sponsored people, with sponsored creators, allocations and press cars, write-offs, loans, access. Overall, just being these groups that they're not really buying and they're not even representative of that culture, but they have access to it.
Yeah, I mean, when we look at, especially when you talk about high-end cars, Porsche, Ferrari, Lambo, McLaren, probably less than 1% of anybody on the internet's ever going to own one of those.
Yeah.
Yet everybody has an opinion. They've never spent significant time around any of them except for at a Cars and Coffee. They've never driven them. They've never seen people live with them. They've never looked at the repair costs except what they're being told by some creator that owns one. You don't even know if that's accurate most of the time. But there's all kinds of opinion on who Ferrari guy is when you've never hung out with them, who Lambo guy is, you've never been around them. Porsche is this, you've never owned them. That is a huge part of car culture now, is that a lot of us, and again, I think this is one of those things that would be age dependent. A lot of us had we didn't make a lot of comments about things we weren't around. Mm-hmm. So like you weren't hanging out with your buddies and everybody had trucks and you guys were talking about the Ferrari market in the year 2005. Right. Like that wasn't really happening. Now, if 3 of your buddies worked at a Ferrari dealership and 2 of your buddies worked at a Porsche dealership and you guys were all sitting having a beer, there would be a discussion about what was going on. But there had to be real life substance to the conversation. There had to be some type of experience. Now, and I don't think this is necessarily always a bad thing, but I think on the internet it becomes a bad thing. A bunch of people are just taking other people's word for stuff they've never been around. That's what happens a lot in the EV market. It happens a lot in the truck market. It happens a lot in new car market. It happens infinitely worse in the high-end part of the market where 99% of people aren't around these cars on a daily basis, dealing with them, dealing with the owners, seeing what it costs to own, seeing what kind of maintenance issues come up. That's why when the Koenigsegg stuff broke with the Hamilton collection, you saw all of these comments with people that just have no idea how that market works, which is fine. That makes it fun. But that's why we kind of said a year ago, we need to get back to busting balls and having jokes and stop acting like we know what we're talking about when we don't. Like, if you want to go, I went to a car show and these Ferrari guys were douches, like, that's where it needs to stop. Not that you know every Ferrari owner or you know every Lambo owner and they act this way, and people that are trying to flex by those cars and people that aren't by the Porsche. It's like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, or the fact
you just don't know,
or the fact that the ownership of XYZ car makes you like a tougher guy, makes you a real man tough guy.
Well, just like we talked about the off-road part of SEMA. America, all these flags and shit on their windows and all the shit's made in China. Like, come on, guys. Like, stop with the tactical gear like you're, pro-America, saving the world and doing – it's like the shit's made in China, dude. Like, relax.
So the next bullet point – and so I got a couple of videos that were not sent to me but showed to me in my algorithm. By the way, you can really kind of alter your Instagram algorithm in your Reels tab these days. In the top right corner – this is for listeners as well – there's two lines with, I think, hearts. Have you noticed that button? I just noticed it today. No. If you go to the search or the Reels tab where you're watching a reel, top right corner, you'll see the two lines with hearts. You click it, it'll describe to you one paragraph what your algorithm is right now. Basically, hey, so lately as of the last couple of while you've been into XYZ, there's two sections below that. Like tags essentially of what you're being shown. You can remove the ones you don't want. And then below that, things you don't want to be shown. So I was like, you know what? Can you stop showing me these thirst traps? I want to look at cars and I want some.
It turns out what you like, it shows you.
No, I said I don't want thirst traps. And you know what? Like, you try to frame it or phrase it in other ways, and it'll say that phrase or that content.
Rob, you're lying.
It'll say that content's not supported, and I'm like, that's not true. But it accepted thirst trap, which I'm like, how did you accept that, but not the?
I know why. If you stay on it long enough, Rob, it knows.
Look,
Zuck knows.
I like golf. I don't necessarily like melons hitting golf balls. All right, just let me play golf.
I love it, dude. That's awesome.
Yeah. Well, by the way, little tip for you guys. I don't know if it's a new thing or if it's rolling out slowly or if you know what I'm talking about, but alter your algorithm if you like it. I just want to get back to Eastern Bloc guys putting screens on dashes.
Oh, yeah. That's the best car content out there.
The nonsensical stuff that doesn't go too extreme. So all that to say, cops and law enforcement are really cracking down on YouTubers, dude. I don't know if you saw this, but some people have gotten busted here recently for their wild antics on the road. And every state essentially across the country is doubling down on figuring out how to get these people off the streets. Not just the takeover culture, but like all of what was once like a real underground scene of I'm going to go do a couple of midnight runs in Mexico kind of thing. They're getting too blatant, especially in New York. Like New York is crazy with what people do on bikes and cars and having police chase them or whatever.
Again, I think the theme early in this episode is stop revising history.
Yeah.
We've been through this before. I mean, when Fast and Furious dropped, we told you guys, I was there, you were there. Street racing went up exponentially. It got more irresponsible. Everything can be tracked back to something, right? This behavior doesn't come out of nowhere. It doesn't. Somebody just wasn't in their living room in New York and thought this up. They saw something on the internet. They thought they could piggyback on it, so they did it. We're starting to see, and we had an episode 2-3 episodes ago where we talked about this whole cry for let's stop the takeover culture, largely from people that were responsible for making people believe that was part of the culture. Mm-hmm. Now, they can say, we blocked roads, we did this, we did everything right, and I'm sure you did. But you also didn't really tell people how to get the permits, how to do this right. You gate kept all that. And because you wanted to keep doing it and you wanted to have a leg up, which makes all kinds of sense in the world, but you never went out and told people how to do it correctly. You just showed all kinds of crazy behavior on the internet. Then crazy behavior begets more crazy behavior. And that was our whole point. And largely now, I was sent some clips from an automotive podcast from some of you guys. Everyone's changing their tune since our episode dropped.
Oh, weird. Strange.
It's weird, right? Like, it's like, oh, yeah, maybe we didn't, like, actually tell everybody what was going on. And maybe we were the bedrock of that crazy behavior. And again, you can do everything right, which I believe they did in a lot of cases. But if you don't tell people how to do things correctly, they don't know. they're not working with major car manufacturers. You know, Timmy down the street who's got a JDM build doesn't know to call the city and get permits and all because you never told him. Now, you guys can sit here and say, well, that's not their job. Well, they wouldn't have known that either if they didn't work with Mazda and Subaru and Toyota. Like, that's how they learned. They learned from working with major manufacturers, which is awesome. But you never shared it. You never told people the right way to do things. Mm-hmm. You never tried to build the right culture. You gate kept it so you could make these videos, keep everyone else out, which again is business 101. I'm not banging on it, but we got to stop with all of this. Like, yeah, man, cops are in a tough spot, and it's being talked about in a lot of cities and locales and states, and a lot of things are being blocked from being done because of stupid behavior. But don't be Dad, get off my lawn and act like we haven't been through this in society before.
All right. Final thing here on my little thesis here. We'll move on to other topics. But in 10 years ago, we'll say, what did work, and just kind of looking through some of the stats of our current automotive culture online, 15 to 30K enthusiast cars, which we don't really see a ton of. We see a resurgence of it as of late, but over the last 10 years, it kind of just got crazier, more extreme, more expensive, more not luscious.
Lavish.
I'm still thinking of the blonde swing in the fucking golf club.
Paige Spearneck?
Yeah.
Lavish.
Lavish. Affordable mods, DIY builds, everyman relatability, right? And what the algorithm pushes is extreme, culture, dangerous, on the edge, kind of friends-like behavior, and more spending and nostalgia content is just. Here's a perfect example. When I see there's a guy that just rebuilt like a Frankenstein Eclipse. Have you seen it? It's a GSX, silver GSX. I think he might have even been featured on one of the big YouTube channels here recently, but I think his name's like Mitsubishi Mike or something like that. And it's got like parts of Evos and Mitsubishi, other cars or whatever. Long story short, I see the car, and in my mind, the nostalgia that it hits me is like, man, it looks great. I think that looks better than any Ferrari Nick has mentioned on the show.
That's ridiculous.
That's the wild thought that I like. This looks better than Vin's 388. Like I think it does. Like it's a great looking car.
Well, Vin has a 360
or a 360. No, I posted a clip about us talking about a 388. My bad.
Yeah,
right.
488.
Did I say 488?
Yeah, Rob. Dude. Let's all stop. Let's regroup. Let's relax.
Listen,
okay, we got to get.
It's been a week.
I realize that you're thinking about the Costco, going to the butcher. We've had a lot to talk about here. So I think, and I'd love to hear everybody's opinion. I do think we're seeing a resurgence of let's get back to normalcy.
Yeah.
Because one of the main reasons, let's kind of let everybody behind the scenes, it can't continue because people can't afford what was going on. Okay. This isn't done because people feel that's the cooler they can't afford it anymore. Yeah. They can't afford these crazy builds and on crazy platforms. And there's a very tiny percent of creator that has the money coming in that can offset what all of this costs. So we are going to see some normalcy. But I want to say that's always been there. The $15,000 to $30,000 car has always been there. And I wish we would have highlighted it more over the last decade, because I do think a lot of you are sitting on the sidelines angry that you can't buy this thing. But throughout history, none of us could buy those things that you're sitting on the sideline now bitching about. It's just that people didn't bitch about it on the internet. They just went and bought what they could get. And that's the culture that needs to come back. And I know a lot of you operate that way now, but there's also a huge percentage of people that are very angry online because they can't buy a GT3. Well, guess what? A small percentage could buy GT3s 20 years ago as well. That hasn't really changed. We've just been made to believe that it's changed. Mm-hmm. And that's sort of the psyop that's gone on here in this whole world of cars. Guys, everybody's bought a high mileage car. If somebody is really into cars, they bought what they could afford at the time, and for most people at 22 years old, it was a high mileage XYZ. That's what it was. That's what it was 20 years ago. That's what it is today.
All right, I'm going to shift into this. Sorry, I'm still thinking about this Ferrari comparison to a Mitsubishi. I don't know, man. I think
you're still doing your Costco order in your
No,
head.
Listen, it looks great. Eclipses look awesome. They should have kept it, and it should come back, as a matter of fact. But no, talk about nostalgia, low mile. There's this video. Did you see the Foxbody story from Bring a Trailer earlier this week?
No, but there was this Dodge live-in van that was like 15 grand on low miles, no miles that I sent around to everybody last night.
I didn't see that.
Oh
I
yeah,
definitely
15,
didn't get that
15
one.
grand. I was like, I kind of like it.
Getting ideas?
I can kind of make this happen.
I
think.
like it.
Where would I store this?
Doesn't matter. You'll find a
you know when you
place.
go down that road, you go, if I bought this, where
can
would I
find
put
room
it?
for this? Check this out.
Someone's worst nightmare came true yesterday, but it could have been a whole lot worse. Last week, I told you about a dealer who stepped up and paid crazy money for a low-mile Mustang. He had bought it from another dealer who had the car advertised for $149,000.
Oh.
He probably paid a little less, but maybe not a lot less. His auction got off to a great start, hitting $70,000 on the first day. 7 days later, reserve not met at $72,500. And that's where he got lucky. A good number of auctions on BAT run at no reserve, so at least he had some protection in place. But as a dealer, I can tell you what happens next. Anyone that was seriously interested in this car already kind of knows what the dealer had paid. And the $72,500 price result sets what we call an anchor. At this point, it doesn't really even matter what he had paid because the buyer is going to argue that this auction result proves what the true market value is. The dealer's challenge now is to try to convince the buyer to pay more. But how much more? Who's working who here? When this happens, it's usually the dealer who has to cut his losses or hopefully even try to break even. I've been there. It's not fun.
Dude.
Let's say he paid 130.
Yeah.
Let's cut off 20, from the 150. This happens a lot, throughout history with collector cars. If you've gone to things like Barrett-Jackson, I've said this all the time, you can see people with all the receipts where they tell you what they paid to build the car. Very rarely do they ever hammer for more. There are people that lose lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of money on this kind of buy. And you can sit there and think that that doesn't happen. It's always happened. It's going to continue to happen. And if you really pay attention to being in the house during an auction and seeing the paperwork on cars, a lot of cars that go across auction blocks, online or whatever, people lost money. I know we concentrate on these things that people made money on. Largely, this is a losing proposition, and it's definitely a losing proposition during heightened prices, okay? If you catch the sweet spot, you bought something in 2018, you sold it in 2023, yeah, man, you probably got the sweet spot. But think about how timing would affected that. Let's say I buy in 2023, I sell in 2025, I most likely lost money. Mm-hmm. So just that change in years, I lost money. And people go, well, no, you had a chance to buy it in 2018. You didn't do it. That's why nobody really makes money. And I'm glad to hear some big car collectors on other car podcasts really start to say out loud, and these guys own the rarest of the rare. They own low mileage everything. And they're like, I'll never break even. Okay. Dang. There are guys on the internet that want to make you believe that their car collection made money, okay? If you've been in the world long enough, if you've seen things like this Foxbody, I'm here to tell you, almost every car collection in the world over the long term loses money.
Yeah.
Because maintenance, keeping them up, storing them, all of that kind of stuff. We have just been conditioned because everybody has this thing, it's just human nature, recency bias of what took place from 2019 to 2023, and you saw all these crazy results for people that bought cars in 2017, 2018, 2019, flipped them in 2022, 2023, you get in your head that that's normal.
Yeah.
Just like flipping a house, right? So if you flipped a house from 2000 to 2007, you're like, wow, this housing market, man, I'm killing it. If you held all those houses and tried to sell them in 2009, you go, wow, the housing market sucks. 14 months difference.
I mean, we're seeing that now with the housing market, funny enough, because you don't see as much content about that online. Airbnbs, that whole buying and flipping, those kind of, that market's completely done.
It's done because it didn't make sense, right? Very low risk, everybody making money. That shit doesn't keep up forever. Now, again, if you're living in a world where you're going to have the small mind to go, I'm looking at one result or 5 results, or I'm cherry picking results, or like what we saw happen with Ferraris at Monterey Car Week, and go, well, look at that. Okay, but not everybody is selling those Ferraris at that auction in that moment. Okay, you got to remember, people are transacting Ferraris all the way up to that moment, after that moment, and there's no way to predict what's going to happen before or after. It was one isolated moment. Now, there are cars that we believe, Carrera GT and things like that you go, they've probably reached a point where they're just going to keep going up because there's that rare of a car, but that isn't the market. It's never been the market. The market is everything else. Picking out F40 and going, look, that keeps, how many people own them?
Yeah.
Not many, right? They're not that many. And it's a special platform from a special car manufacturer at a special time. And now investors are involved in the millions upon millions of dollars. That doesn't mean that your Chevelle or Foxbody or whatever is going to have the same thing. And that's what I think has made everybody kind of crazy is like, guys, somebody sent me a DM on Bronco Raptor. It's like, look, man, Bronco Raptor's probably a pretty decent buy today.
Yeah.
It's normalized. It's not the perfect price. I'm not saying I wish it wasn't $15,000 less or whatever we want to talk about. But, yeah, man, it had a crazy moment in time. But supply was low, demand was high, but it was isolated. It was isolated.
At least this Foxbody is a notchback and not the hatch. I mean, that warrants for a little bit more money. But, and I think the sticker price on this, it may have been in the description. It would have been something crazy like 15 or 20 grand. I mean,
yeah. And you hope people, it's like, great, man, this is an extremely low mileage one. They really did it to collect it. It looks like they did everything right. But there's still going to be a ceiling sometime, and the ceiling's set by the economic situation. And the economic situation around the globe is not, the way it was in 2022, 2023. That's not the reality.
You know what car we didn't give a lot of attention to this year? And it may be because it was still semi-recent and just didn't get a lot of other coverage in the media, at least not the one I was watching, is the Corvette E-Ray. Do you have any thoughts on the E-Ray?
I just had a customer in my office.
No way! Dude, life's not real. We don't plan this.
And here's the thing. It was just yesterday, stopping by the Merry Christmas, and I've been doing business with him for 12, 13 years. And he was talking about trading in a C8, and I might get the E-Ray. And he started talking very common sense. And he's just like, I just don't think I need the extra power. I don't really know if I'm getting a lot. I'm getting a little bit older. And we had an interesting conversation we can share here. I wasn't planning on it, but since it came up in this weird moment, is he's really been looking at older cars. And when I heard him talk, and I've known him a very long time, I mean, we're friends at this point, and I said, you have to make a decision at this point in your life. He's getting ready to shut it down, start to travel more, has made a lot of money, really just an all-around guy, built from the ground up, has made lots of money, all that kind of stuff. Just the kind of guy you like talking to, you know what I mean? And I go, look, man, I've known you for 12 years, and you've been talking about this older car thing. I said, when you're talking about sports cars or older cars or whatever, you got to remember, you're talking about, do you want something easy or do you want something with a little bit of work behind it? If you have a C8 Corvette and you want to go buy a 1980 Porsche Turbo, whatever it is, okay, I'm just using something. You're trading being able to get in that C8, push a button and go for something that you might turn the key and go, this doesn't sound right, shut it down, and you're back in your Escalade going to wherever you were going to go. And so do you want effort and the experience of effort and having to put work into something, or do you want to press the button and go enjoy yourself? And it really, truly was kind of a light bulb moment for him where he's like, I never thought about it like that. I said, it's just a matter of where you are in life. You can have the same discussion at 30 years old. Do I really want to fight something and deal with the headaches and deal with having to go through the car, have it up on a lift for a month? I'm not saying that's what's going to happen, but if that were to happen, is that the kind of experience you want to be able to drive the car you want to drive in that moment? And he really quickly said, he's like, yeah, maybe I should just look at newer sports cars. And I'm like, he goes, I don't really want to deal with a bunch of headaches. And I said, and it's not to say you will. I'm not saying you will, But if that happens, you're signing up for it, buying older vehicles. And that's the way, I guess I can simply put what I've watched in the collection world with the customers I have. Some people just collect cars that aren't going to be a headache.
Yeah.
And some people collect cars that is nothing but a headache. But they signed up for it and they enjoy it and they go, oh, this one's now right. We did all this work. But you got to make that distinction. But if your budget is low, let me tell you what you're signing up for. Headache.
Yeah, lots and lots of headaches.
And by the way, not negative. It's just the nature of where your budget is in that moment.
Yeah.
So don't sit on the sidelines because you can't buy the perfect car or the perfect truck or whatever. Just know what you're getting yourself into and move on.
Yeah,
I mean,
going back to the driver experience, right? That's a part of the experience. If that's part of the budget and experience that you want to take on, you got to know that if you're going to buy that Subaru, you might have a couple things come up. That WRX might need a little bit of transmission work, might need a little bit of this or that, and that's just kind of part of the experience. But wait, did he have an E-Ray or was he looking?
No, he has a Stingray now, and he goes, I keep looking at E-Rays when I'm at home at night. I can get this extra, and he's like, I just don't know that it's worth it because my car is just enjoyable, and he has a lake house in California. He's like, it handles well, it drives as fast as I need, and I go, well, it sounds like you don't need an E-Ray.
Yeah, right. Well, let me show you the E-Ray that I just fell in love with, and all of a sudden, this is on the list of like, hey, this might be the next 5 to 10 year goal here for whatever weird reason. I want to get your honest thoughts on the car, though. All right, don't hold back. I'm sure you won't.
Well, it's not better than a Lamborghini Sterrato. I can tell you that. That headline's incorrect. Rage bait.
I knew it. I took the words out of your freaking mouth. All right, let me turn down the freaking board. Give me a second.
Better than a Lamborghini Sterrato. Let's be real. I'm just kidding. However, I did kind of do a Lamborghini Sterrato on a budget. This is a Corvette E-Ray, which is all-wheel drive. V8 ProCharge rear-wheel drive with electric motors in the front, making it all-wheel drive. I did have Lamborghini Sterrato replica wheels made by Forge Light, and I did wrap those wheels with the OEM Lamborghini Sterrato Bridgestone all-terrain tires because I figured if they could do it, why can't I? The only thing that makes this better than a Lamborghini Sterrato is the price point. Otherwise, I'd much rather have a Sterrato, but for now, I'll deal with my ProCharge E-Ray.
Dude, how good does that look?
How good is this? What's his name?
That is Corey Paragon.
Bravo, my friend.
Yeah, bravo. Great beard, great
because
car, great garage.
I'm going to tell you why it's bravo. You told the truth.
Yeah.
Everyone would rather have a Sterrato.
Yeah.
Bravo. The rage bait got everybody in. The part everybody's going to miss is they're going to read that headline. That's what they're going to say to their friends, like, oh, the E-Ray is better than the Sterrato. But if you listen to the guy's content, he told the truth.
If you settle down and watch it.
I told you, in the middle of summer, we bought 2 Sterratos for a customer of mine. And fantastic. I mean, what a cool experience. It's a cool car. Probably one of those cars that might hold its value because it's kind of different than a lot of stuff Lamborghini builds. I'm not sure about that, but I think it is unique enough in a lot of ways that it'll probably be a pretty stable market. I really like what he did with that E-Ray, though.
Dude.
That looks awesome.
I wish I could scrub it. You can't do it on Instagram. You used to, but they took it away. I mean, the color. Some people made a good point. They're like, man, those tires, you got to lift it a little bit. And in my mind, I'm like, you do, but also that looks so good at that level.
It looks so good. That is that kind of speaks to us, right? Yeah. It's like this was just done correctly.
Exactly.
Correctly. I mean, he even got the luggage right. Everything about it is correct. And that's really cool.
Even the wing. I'm a fan of the big wing on this. It all looks so good put together. And when you get up close, I mean, those tires, they wrap those wheels perfectly. It is so nice.
So I didn't know this. And guys, I'm not the biggest wheel head out here. Can you just go to Forge Line and say, make these, or is that because he's a creator?
I was going to say, with enough money, you can.
Well, yeah, obviously that. But I just wondered, is that an option on their website? Like, hey, can you copy these for me? And they just give you a price?
I'm here. I'm actually moving it closer. Look how good. That's such a good replica wheel. Boom, boom.
You and I talked about that creator. Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
That looks great. We were talking about that creator who's like pissing off all the wheel companies. You and I were talking about it on the phone the other day. Yeah. He's like, this is where they get it. This is where I don't know what his skin in the game is, but it is funny ass content.
It is very good. He knows rage, again, going back to rage baiting, but it's not even rage baiting because it's just facts that people don't like to hear. We got a rage bait. I usually never see that term in our content unless you really just did not watch the video. And it was about like, the gap of Kia's EV or Kia's pricing going from like 40 to like 80. And then somehow you mentioned Porsches in there, but you never said 911s. You said Porsche. And I think we're talking about Taycans, obviously, because you know what the cheapest Taycan right now is in the country? Take a stab at it.
51.
39.
Whoa, seriously?
39 with 60,000 miles, I believe. Yeah.
Man, if you got bumper to bumper coverage for like 3 or 4 years on that, that would be an unbelievable buy.
$39,000? I can't get a Golf 4 for that price. That's crazy.
That is crazy. I would have never thought they've reached 30. I mean, we have to talk about it. We're real close for Cybertruck being. Have you seen Cybertruck?
I think 56 is like the average price, I think.
I mean, we're not far from $35,000 Cybertrucks, and boy, are those going to be everywhere.
Yeah, it's going to be the next Nissan for sure.
It's going to be the next, you can think of a lot of platforms, Hummers.
Oh, yeah, the modern H2 is a good one. I've heard that.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things. Like, we're not far from Cybertruck really being problematic out on the roads with people paying $35,000 just wheeling those things at full blast.
Oh, I actually had an article since we're talking about it right now, the E-Ray, the 2026 E-Ray. Here's kind of, I mean, it just looks great. Obviously, it looks like a C8. 2026, Car Driver gives it a 10 out of 10, starting at 110.
128 all in?
That's not bad if you think about what you get.
No, I mean, you get a lot. C8 is a platform that Chevy should be celebrated for. I don't care what your opinion is about it, what you get for the price it is. Again, we all can bitch about price on everything in the world. You do get a lot, you're right. But there's something about seeing Corvette and $128,000 that's pretty rough. And it's a good look. It's a great platform. I don't want this being taken out of context.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. Oh, funny, I actually did have this. So somebody sent me a video because, we've made a bunch of funny videos about Nissans and the typical Nissan we see on the road and those drivers or whatever. So there was a lawyer breaking down why Nissan became the greatest subprime lender, and he made a really good explanation of it. And then, so as I watched that, then I thought to myself of our previous conversations and the acquisitions and the mergers and all that stuff with Nissan. I'm like, man, they really did do this to themselves. Like, that's down on all of the financing arms that could have been worst case scenario for most people, and they were like, no, we want that. Give us that. We'll do
I think they really. It looked like from a corporate perspective, thought this is where we'll get everybody. We'll go gobble up all these people that people don't want to lend to, which is a little bit what Toyota does at times too. Except Toyota just better globally and better at everything than Nissan at this point. You look at it from a very 30,000 foot view looking down. Nissan just made every wrong call you could make. I mean, they just made every wrong call. Confusion in the brand. They torched Infiniti in a very short period of time. 10, 15 years ago, Infiniti was something. That's not a long period of time in history.
Yep.
Think about their cars and their coupes and, go back to the FX, which you and I have talked about on this podcast. Go back to QX56, which was everywhere for a large SUV. Where all of this led to was wrong decision after wrong decision after wrong decision.
Yeah.
And they just doubled and tripled down on every bad decision. And we all kind of say the canary in the coal mine is when you cancel Xterra 5 minutes before the overland market takes off, it kind of, Toyota canceled the FJ. It was a stupid decision, but they always had 4Runner. They always had Tacoma. They always had these other things to kind of gobble up. And Nissan just said, nah, we don't want a part of that.
Yeah, they had a farm system, right? They had a bench they could go to. Nissan did not. So someone sent me another video, and we just mentioned Kia. And, again, we're going to talk about EVs where it's applicable, where it makes sense. It's not going to be the only thing we talk about ever. But you have a lot of experience with car auctions and what the auction experience is like for new and used cars. So it was a video of an Ioniq 9, which is one of their larger SUV type cars at an auction, brand new. And the individual that sent it was like, wouldn't they be better off giving the consumer just a good deal on the car? And I don't think a lot of people realize just how common you see new cars at auctions, especially EVs these days.
Yeah. So the bedrock of the car business is the auction market, okay? Because that allows people to unload inventory rapidly. So they're getting a cash influx, let's say, very consistently that you don't see. Like, most people don't realize this. If you live in a city like Las Vegas, CarMax runs an auction out of the back of usually one of the CarMaxes in the city. Like here, it would be out east here at the CarMax in Henderson. They can change from time to time, but they run their own auction. Their own dealer auction. You have a dealer license. You go in the back of CarMax, the things that aren't what they call frontline ready, or not going to ever be frontline ready, they'll go ahead and auction off. They still buy the cars. They just don't put them for sale through CarMax. Then you have Manheim and Odessa and all of these other things that take place that allows, and that's where I got my start in this business for everybody that doesn't know, as I started work with a wholesaler. And so this guy had a dealer license, didn't sell any cars to the general public. Okay? Zero cars. He ended up selling cars later in his business, like just things that he knew he could sell, and he had a pulse on the market. But his whole business when I worked for him was just wholesale. So he'd buy stuff from the auction, he'd fix engine problems, he'd fix cosmetic problems, whatever, and then he would ship those cars to another auction in another state. So he'd buy stuff at the Ohio Auto Auction on Monday. If it could be turned around in a day, by Thursday, he'd have it at the Pennsylvania auction if he could get a transport. I mean, this guy was moving thousands of cars along many different states every week. And so he's providing this liquidity and also inventory to other used car dealers, to maybe even some new car dealers that are building their used car department. And so the auctions are this place that dealers can dump inventory into, selling to other dealers. That gives them quick cash, because I do see people's point of, why don't they just give the deal to the consumer? Well, if they send it to the auction on Tuesday, they know most likely it's going to sell on Tuesday. If they keep it and try to give you a deal, it might take them another 60 days for somebody to buy it. So that really isn't the option that everybody thinks it is.
And on top of that, comps. If you have to really work a deal, then you have to reprice the entire market in that area.
Exactly right. Great point.
Yeah.
So the auction market is this sort of market that's blocked from public view. But, I mean, you go up north, there's a huge Manheim auction in the north part of Vegas right by the Speedway. You look at the Speedway and you look over here, and there's thousands upon thousands upon thousands of cars in this Manheim parking lot getting ready to run through auction.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? People are walking the parking lot. Go do that when it's 110 out. Now think what it's like on the black. There's not a shade to be found. It's just, it's just blacktop. And you got to plug things in, and you got to do your research. So the dealers really use these markets as sort of a cash place, a place to move cash quickly, so they don't have to worry about selling it to you. And like you said, they don't really want to reset the market either. Mm-hmm. So there is this thing about auctions that people get very confused about, because they don't think about the cash constantly needing to move through your business to stay alive.
So if they're imagine, by the way, that guy in today's world with all these EVs, like how much inventory would be coming in and out of his place, people moving EVs?
Oh, it's got to be crazy. I mean, it would be. I've talked to a lot of wholesalers, and I still know a lot of guys in that world. I knew somebody down in Phoenix, as an example, that very early on did nothing but EVs and still does that today. Damn. And that's like his specialty, is he understands that market, but he understands what he needs to buy them for and what he can get them on the lot and sell them quickly for. I think that's a pretty rare breed right now that's willing to take the amount of risk it needs to really get deep in that EV wholesale market. It's certainly happening, right? I'm not sitting here saying it isn't. But wholesalers like things they can fix, like things that they can, provide value on.
Yeah.
EVs is one of those things that's probably very, very low margin and very tough if something goes wrong.
So I guess imagine, this is what I was going to ask you too, if they're flooring the cars 7, 8, 9% or whatever, it takes 100 days, 100 plus days to sell.
Yep.
They're like, we're going straight to auction because if we sit on it longer, we're just going to eat more money.
Yeah, so
slower.
for everybody that doesn't know, you got two kinds of dealers in the world. You got the ballers that own everything. They own everything on their lot. That's pretty rare, okay? That would be like really, really high-level buy here, pay here guys that have made a lot of money. They can outlay a lot of money because they've been doing it so long and they own their inventory. That's becoming pretty rare. That used to be, more prevalent, but as flooring companies, and for everybody that doesn't know what a flooring company is, they basically front the money for the purchase. Some people have 30-day terms on their flooring. Some people have 45, 60, 90, depends on how big you are, how much money you move, what you negotiated. But the way that they operate, essentially as dealers now is they never really outlay the money for the car. They just pay an interest rate on the money that they owe the flooring company. So the flooring company is basically just like a loan shark. They're just a hard money lender at this point. If anybody's ever been in real estate, like there's real hard money lenders on flips and apartment rehabs and things like that. It's the same thing. They're going to charge you 5, 6, 7, 10, whatever the interest rate at the time needs to be. But it's a real scary game because one of the things people don't realize is the car, as much as people hate on dealers, you don't realize how little money they make on some of these cars.
Right.
And if you take enough of those and you lose on them, you don't have the margin on the other ones to make up. You see a lot of, we need to sell our dealership right now.
Bro, the documentary in the future is going to be wild about the EV. You know what's going to be called? It's going to be called Inevitable, and it's just going to be a downward arrow. All these people that lost money on these flooring opportunities with EVs, it's going to be pretty crazy.
Absolutely, no question.
Oh, what a wild time. Okay, so yeah, anyway, to answer that listener's question, we basically just described all the reasons why you're not going to get a deal, especially on an EV. Like, we just didn't move this thing, get it off our books, get it out of our lot, move on.
Yeah,
to
and
the next
it's
thing.
really about flipping cash fast.
Yeah.
I mean, you need cash infusion. No matter how big you think a dealership group is or dealership is or how well you think it's run, these auctions provide pure liquidity pretty quickly.
This is, I'm going to curveball here. Nick and I always talk about like other things to add to the show periodically, maybe like newer segments or just things that we're probably going to talk about on a phone throughout the week anyway. And I want to ask you, because you brought up your streaming, hurdles not long ago. Was it YouTube TV?
Yeah, YouTube TV, I had a problem randomly.
Right, with like sports, I think, because it was
Yeah, it was just like
thing.
a random thing. Like it's worked well for a decade, and then all of a sudden I was like, what is going on here?
And then we start seeing like the Netflix Paramount thing, and we start seeing all these different bidding wars for networks and entertainment.
Hey, we're
arms.
big fans of Netflix. If you're looking for an automotive podcast for these new Netflix deals that are going out, we
Absolutely.
are definitely for sale.
100%. Write the check, we'll make it happen.
Let
It'll be
us
more-
know.
Yeah, it'll be more entertaining than most things.
clutchculture@gmail.com.
Yeah, clutchculturepodcast@gmail.com.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Hey, Netflix executives, just get with Rob.
Yes, please.
Getwithrob.com.
Well, that should actually be the URL. What is your opinion on, we'll call this Entertainment Corner, what's your opinion on Apple as a streaming service?
So I have Apple TV. We have the 4K box. That's my hub.
Same.
The remote needs work. Let's
I
say
use
that
my
out.
phone more than the remote, personally.
Yeah, I should probably do that. Yeah, that's probably what I should do, but I don't.
Okay. Like to do things the hard way.
I think there is so much content on all of these platforms. I just think I don't know really what's going on and what I should be watching.
Yeah, and I think that's why we're seeing some of this, monopolizing, some people might say, or this consolidation of networks. So funny enough, for years we've heard about Apple acquiring Disney. Well, now it's like back in the news big time because of what we're seeing with Netflix and other things. And this guy, I saw this video, made such a great point of like how Apple, like I didn't know this, but like over the last 10 years, I think like 10 years ago, Apple was valued at like, we'll call it $3 billion. Disney was like, we'll just for round numbers, 200 billion and 100 million, or 100 billion. And 10 years later, Disney is still valued at the exact same 200 billion. Apple is worth 3 trillion.
Yeah, I mean, they could essentially just like shake some of the office chairs and come up with the money to
Yeah, some
buy
cushions
Disney.
in the
yeah,
office.
like, hey, look, we found another few billion here.
Yeah, exactly.
I think I feel the same way as many people is I have heard some astronomical numbers from friends of mine of what it costs to go to a Disney park with their family. Mm-hmm. I mean, $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 type numbers. I don't think that's sustainable. I mean, call me crazy. I think they also have this very creepy vibe of like Disney adults that have kind of taken over the narrative around Disney, and Disney hasn't like tried to put a stop to. I guess they can't, but
Yeah.
As a parent of young kids, it feels creepy.
Yes.
I think Disney made a lot of very bad decisions in leadership. And I think some of it was sabotaged by old leadership. If you read the stuff that kind of went on with people that left the company and then came back, I don't really know much about the entertainment space and how everybody makes money and how all these big companies view things. But I think Amazon's always had the most healthy thing publicly. We basically only do videos so you use Prime more and don't cancel it.
Yeah.
That seems like they have the best hook. You know, it's like, yeah, you pay us for Prime, you get some free shipping on some toothpaste, but like we're just going to make sure you don't cancel Prime. You know, I think they have the most healthy relationship with all of this. And then, you know, they get in bed with NFL, they get in bed with MLS, they get in bed with Euro soccer. Apple TV, I kind of go there. I think one of the best shows I saw this year was on Apple TV. What was the John Hamm show, like Friends and Neighbors?
Oh, is that where that video that's going around is from?
Where the guy was like a real rich dude, then he started robbing his neighbors.
No, I didn't hear that.
You got to watch. It was a good show.
Love John Hamm.
Yeah, John Hamm's great, and I look at a lot of this probably like you guys do, which is I don't know where this is going to shake out, but the shit's getting expensive.
Yeah, all your friends and neighbors. Oh, great. All right, adding this to the list for sure.
Yeah, it's a good one. You'll like it.
All right, Olivia Munn. All right, yeah. No, you're absolutely right, too. And so what the guy was saying, too, is Apple will have the ability to utilize all of this Disney IP, right? This catalog, all this catalog of a 100 years of content where when you go, Disney, actually use Disney as the example, everything will be on your iPhone, right? So you'll be able to map out on your iPhone everything, your hotel key, pay for everything on your iPhone. Like it's all going to be integrated. It makes so much sense. I was like, man, like if this doesn't happen, I'd be surprised.
Yeah, but you got to stop the creepiness. You got to stop the creepiness.
Well,
hey, Tim Cook, let me give you the piece of advice. You got to stop the adult creepiness at these
I'm
parks.
with you, dude. I'm with you. Like, what are they calling them? There's a name for these people. I mean,
Disney adults.
Disney adults is not, that's not harsh enough.
I just call them creepy.
Okay, well, yeah, dang. Usually I'm quicker at finding a name for this. I just can't do it.
Creepy is fine. It really does the job.
Especially when they're actually all right. Like, well, you're an elder millennial. We've established this. I'm a prime millennial aged here, and it's people our age. Like they're in their 30s that somehow scrounged up money with no kids, just them adults going and hopping on all the rides, eating all the food, crying in front of Mickey, who's really just the Mexican guy inside the stew, who's sweating in the stew. He's like, what's going on?
Why does Mickey not speak English?
Señora, por favor, cálmese. Por favor, cálmese. Me está lastimando la mano. You know, it's like, why are you squeezing me so hard? Brutal. We'll end with this. You have a video. We're going to be releasing some new content in the shop with the new colors and the whole vibe going on in January, where you're basically going to be like winterizing the LX before we get into the Christmas like week and as we go into New Year's. What's something that somebody can do? Because here in Texas, dude, it's going to be 75 on Christmas. So we're not really going to have a cold Christmas like we usually sometimes do. I don't know about you. You going to be super cold next week?
No, I think we're going to be in the 60s.
Yeah, same, right? So, but there's areas obviously getting slammed. What can somebody do to like quickly winterize their windows or their car in a way that's just quick?
Yeah, so if you guys have never put glass coating on your car, anybody can do it. A glass coating helps a lot of things. You know, as you guys get rain and sleet and ice and all that kind of stuff, it helps visibility. I think the number one thing going into wintertime, and again, some of you have already been hit by winter weather, but get it in your garage. You know, if you get a sunny day, which I know some people got, you know, who did already get snow, they got a sunny day, get it washed off, get it prepped, get some type of protection on your paint, you know, clean out the rust bits you can see, you know, the door jams and things like that. Like that stuff goes a long way, you know, and for everybody that thinks I grew up in warm weather, I grew up in Ohio. I grew up with snow and sleet and all that kind of stuff. I saw the rust. I was in the Rust Belt. You know, the thing is that when you let things settle in places that you know can start to deteriorate where, you know, things like that, you know, it's going to be problematic. So wipe out your door jams with something like a waterless wash like Eco One, coat your glass, Make sure you put some type of protection on your paint anytime you can before the winter hits. If you already have a coating on your car, you're good to go. You're going to get through winter just fine. But yeah, man, it's these little things of just staying on top of it, because we all know winter's not perfect.
Yeah.
You know, you need to, just like we talked about, buying the perfect car is not really how everybody should try to experience car culture, because it's not possible for 99% of them. You're not always going to have the perfect thing, be able to care for your car perfectly when it's snowing and it's ugly weather, but you can always do something.
Now, do you recommend them polishing? Is polishing a must step, or just suggest like highly suggested?
It depends on what you're doing. You know, if you want to do a longer term coating, a quick polish is something I would recommend. But we have a product called Stack It Hyper Clean. You don't need to. It's very light coating, lasts about a year, get you through. You know, go ahead and just get the car cleaned up. Use a little bit of our white product, which is just a prep product, and get something on the car.
What about the glass itself? What about polishing a must, or also
it's not a must. It's not a must. It's just, if you have it, you have the time, you have the machinery, do it. If not, just go ahead and prep it. Quick clay bar. Use our white product again. Go ahead and get it on the car. The waiting for perfect is what keeps people from getting stuff done. And the detailing PPF type culture that's out there, I get it. But having done this for so long, I'm going to tell you, doing something is better than waiting for the perfect time to come, because you might miss the whole winter, and now you got, oh, this kind of looks worse now. I can't fix this. I can't, now I'm seeing rust where I didn't see it prior. It's like, just do something, man.
All right, you got a couple of things to do, people. You gotta leave us a comment or leave us a review as well on the podcast. clutchculturepodcast at gmail.com. Let us know what you think is missing in the gap of the last 10 years, and where you think car culture is going, where the disconnect is happening between these big channels and creators. You got to go take care of your winterizing process at hypercleanstore.com, and you got to go to Costco to get a bull tube, and you got to do this, and you got to let me know if you did it. You got to let me know if you did it. I really want to know in the comments, please. Nick, have a great week. We'll see you next week.
You too, brother.